Oh, hi guys, so I come to you from inside a Rotolight box. Well, that's a bit of a fib really, I'm just behind it. But basically, I've got my Rotolight EOS here and it broke down. Unfortunately, it packed up. I didn't know why, and I didn't know the reason why it stopped working. It wasn't working with the battery, it wasn't working with the power supply that came with it. And I was like, oh no, what's gone on here? And just to say that I've not been sponsored or anything by this from Rotolight at all. It's my personal thoughts and experiences with their customer services and their products. So, this is the reason why Rotolight are probably one of the best companies in the world for lighting. And it's not all to do with the light. It's actually to do with the customer service. They have been absolutely brilliant. Sort of bent over backwards to try and fix this light without any pushing or anything like that. And I've had to pay for it because it's well out of warranty. It's 4 years down the line. And like any electrical product on this planet, doesn't matter what make it is, what it is. Could be your mobile phone, could be your car, could be your television, could be computer, could be hard drive. They all have a possibility they may fail at some point. It could be from misuse, and being stupid and used it in the rain. You may have dropped something. You may have. I mean, I dropped my EOS, so that's possibly the one reason why it did break. You dropped it. It's just bad luck that it's failed. Some things, end of the day, it's man-made. We designed it. We made it. It could possibly break at some point. It's one of those things. It's just plain bad luck sometimes. You might own one thing and it will go for 30 years. You might buy the newest version of something and it lasts a year. You just don't know. Nothing to do with build quality. It's just sheer luck, sheer bad luck. And the fact that, as I said, I have dropped my Rotolight EOS and it had a funny little rattle inside, and I thought, okay, so it's broken a little plastic lug off or something inside, and I wasn't really sure. And I thought, well, it's still working, and carried on using it absolutely fine. One day, a few weeks ago now, I was doing a photo shoot with a friend and her baby, and plugged it in her house. And this is where it may have been her electrics in her house may have had a possible surge as I unplugged it to move it to a different room, and it just blew the main board inside and killed it. We don't know. Obviously, I say I have dropped it in a year or so ago, so maybe that was partly thing. It was either bad luck or whatever. So working absolutely perfect beforehand, so just bad luck at the end of the day. Like I say, I've owned it 4 years. It's probably done. I don't use it every day at all. I've got other lighting as well. I've got my Neo 2 as well, and I'm a natural light shooter quite a bit. So there's all that sort of side of things as well. I may use the EOS for sunsets and other times, things like that. I'm obviously using it now for videoing. So it's done a few hundred hours, but nothing mega. It hasn't been like it's been used every single day for 8 hours a day, this and the other. So I thought, well, it's had quite light use, and I thought, well, wonder why it's packed up. And I thought, well, I wonder if it's actually repairable, because obviously a lot of things in this world now are disposable. And in that thought, if you buy cheap stuff from China that's been mass produced and it's the build quality is pretty poor, and you've paid not much money for it, do you just throw it away? And I thought, well, that's almost £1,000 light. Do I, originally? And I thought, well, I wonder. Oh, So I spoke to Rod directly, who's obviously CEO of Rotolight, and he said, please contact customer services, blah 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 blah, and hopefully they'll be able to sort it for you. I was like, okay, brilliant. And I said, is it rebuildable? Yeah, it should be repairable. I was like, okay, brilliant. So that gave me a lot of hope straight away. I thought, I haven't got to spend out another £1,000 to get a new one. And I spoke to a guy called Giles. We bounced emails off each other, and basically I sent him a video saying, just showing him it didn't work. So I did that, sent it off, and basically I got an email saying we've received it. It's going to go into to the technicians or engineers or whatever to be stripped down and have a look and find out. He said then what I'll do is I'll let you know with the quote of how much it's going to be repaired, to cost a repair. So I thought, well, okay, maybe it's okay. So the price of the cost of the light itself, I wonder, what, maybe £200? I don't know. It's still a lot cheaper than buying a new one. I thought, okay, well, that's all right. The 200 quid is 200 quid. And I thought, well, okay, that's going to be rebuilt. It's going to be all nice. And, I thought, fine, okay. Anyway, he emailed me back and said, please could I give him a call? So I phoned Giles and said, brilliant. I said, just out of interest, how much is it going to cost? And he said, well, I'm just getting the quote together now. And it was just under 70 quid, all done. And I thought, really? Okay, I'm very happy with that. He said, please, obviously take note, that's obviously the price it is. It's the main board had failed. And I thought, well, okay, that's obviously either down to me dropping it or a little power surge when I've unplugged it or whatever, because it was working absolutely fine. I hadn't bashed it around at all that day or anything like that, so it hadn't been misused that day at all. And I thought, well, okay, that's just bad luck, really. I thought, okay, well, absolutely fine. That's an amazing price. Just fix it. So next day, I'll get a message saying it's been done. It just needs payment, and it'll be back with you 2 days later, basically. So I was like, wow, okay, that's speedy. So very, very quick service. Very polite, very prompt on emails and on the phone. Giles also spent because I had a few questions. I just thought, as a photographer, I might just ask a few questions. So 20 minutes later, and I was like, I'm very sorry for keeping you. He said, no. He said, always happy to help and always happy to, advise people and ask questions, this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay, that's fabulous. And he was saying about the way Rotolight work is that all of the LEDs in here, for example, and their colour temperature, which obviously you can adjust on the back. So I can adjust it from quite a warm to quite a cool temperature. So depending on what if you set it at 5500K or 3400K or 6000K, you'll change your colour temperature. But he said the problem is when, having one light is fine. But what happens if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights? If you've got 6 lights, for example, you could have some serious problems with light colour temperatures being wrong. So if you set your white balance or whatever at whatever you're going to be using, and this light's at 5500K, for example, all the other lights need to be as well. They need to be accurate, because otherwise you will see that slight colour change. So he was telling me about that. So they're all matched out of the factory, and I thought, well, that's really good. I thought, well, that's just extra attention to detail, with the product. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. Obviously, they utilise now. Obviously, when I first bought my EOS, you had the Neo, and the Neo 2 came out shortly after, which is a brilliant light as well, because obviously that's got the flash in now. The Neo 1 didn't have flash. So I've had the Neo 2, and obviously the EOS. The Neo and Neo 2 I kind of use with small fill-in lights. They're really good, especially for little macro shots and things like that as well. But also still good for portraiture and other things. The EOS has been a brilliant location light. So obviously I'm utilising it now, just sat here talking. But being down on the beach, just to add some nice fill-in with the sunrise and things like that has been awesome. I've utilised it in this big bag, a plastic bag that it actually got delivered in. Just roll it up and tape it shut. So when I've been down on the beach, it's actually sealed in a bag, so it doesn't get covered in salt and sand and stuff like that. And if you dropped it in the sand or something, oh god, that's going to be wrecked basically. So having it in a bag, and if it got splashed by a wave or anything like that, it's got some kind of protection. So I've kept the thick bag, which works really well actually. So that was really, really handy. So utilising this as a location light, and the fact you've got the big handles on the back, the metal handles, you can actually hold it with one hand while you're shooting at the same time. So I'm a one-man band most of the time. Sometimes I have assistants and things like that, but a lot of the time it's just me. And obviously sometimes you can put it on a tripod or a stand, not a problem at all, but sometimes you just want to hold it because you haven't got much time in the location or something like that, so you want to move quickly, and it sits on its battery quite nicely like this, so it's quite a good little portable stand just for on a table. And then you obviously move on to the Innova Pro and the Innova Pro 2. So obviously the Innova Pro 2 is obviously the newest one. and that's a big studio light basically. Not used one, so I can't really comment too much. And then you've got the Titan X2, which is, they're saying it's a professional cinematic light, and I think I've seen those ones being used in as well as obviously in films, in some of the studios for like newsreaders and stuff, obviously utilising those lights as well. And obviously now you've got the Titan X1 as well, which is, they're saying it's the ultimate 1x1 light. A friend of mine actually owns one, another photographer. Hopefully I can go and see him and actually play with that one. If not, I've still possibly can go up and see Rotolight, and once we've got obviously less COVID stuff going on, it'd be quite nice to go back up to Rotolight and actually see a few people and maybe have a look around and try a couple of the lights out, because obviously I'm still using this, which is amazing, but there are, like the Titan X1 is, you know, a different league. But I love this light because it's so portable. It's not too big, fits in bags quite nicely. The battery lasts a good few hours on constant lighting, lasts all day on flash. It's absolutely brilliant. So with the story of the Rotolight, me purchasing my first Rotolight, I bought the Neo 1, and then basically I thought I need something a bit brighter, and then they released the EOS, which I use now. The EOS has now got a built-in transmitter for wireless flash. I have the original one, so this is one of the early ones, which doesn't have that, but I use my Pixel King Pro triggers on it, but because I use them in studio with my Bowen studio lighting or my flash gun as well, it doesn't really matter that I haven't got the one that's got the transmitter built in, because I'm utilising it in a different way anyway a lot of the time. So that works. Yeah, so basically the story of me originally buying one of these was amazing. And this is where I knew that Rotolight were a really, really amazing company, is when I actually ordered one. I did it over the phone. Sometimes it's quite nice to speak to someone rather than just going online and going, oh, there it is, click buy. I wanted a little bit of advice before I spent the money, because it's obviously quite a hefty amount. So I phoned up direct to Rotolight, and I couldn't remember who I spoke to originally, but very, very helpful. And we're going through the thing, and I was umming and ahhing about the battery. You know, do I buy the battery or don't I buy the battery? Because it's quite a large sum of money to buy the battery. But it turns out the batteries are matched for the lights, and also the fact they've got extra bits in the pieces in them, which obviously make them stable. And I think it lets them, it gives you a better power output constantly, rather than some of the batteries maybe discharge faster or something. I'm not quite sure on that, so I couldn't tell you 100%, but it's something like that. It basically makes them better. Also, you've got the button on the side where you can see how much charge it's got and stuff like that. So it was well worth buying in the long run. And I've used it on batteries so many times. You know, before I never had a constant light that I could use on battery very much. I did have a cheap light, and I'll put the video in there actually. It's when I went to North Wales with my friend Jess, and I used this cheap light, and to be honest, it worked, but it was a nightmare. To try and get the colours right was a nightmare. With this, you just put in what you want and you get it, and it was bang on every time. So that was a game changer, having the EOS compared to that, and I just sold it, got rid of it, because it just didn't work well. Even with the EOS next to it, I just couldn't get it right. So I went for the high quality over the cheap. And they always say, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. If you buy high quality premium, you buy it once, and it's proof in your pudding. Yet they may break, they may need some attention, they may need repairing, but at least you can have it repaired. For me, supporting a company that is actually in the UK, it's all built here, it's all made here. So speaking to Giles, he filled me in with everything. And I said, well, that's amazing then, you know, the fact that we can buy local as such, because it's in this country and we're supporting a British company, absolutely awesome. So I know they sell the Rotolights all around the world, in America and other places, but for me, the fact that I can drive, in theory, to the factory not too far away, or the showroom or whatever, and actually see someone, you know, and have a chat, you know, is amazing compared to if this went, you know, if I wanted to buy when I was in America, yeah, you've got shops and stuff where you can buy them from, but the fact that I can actually go and see, you know, Rod, for example, and see the CEO, you know, he's not that far away really. So I think that's really, really good, the fact we can support an English company. So that's one big thing for me. So when I actually first bought the light, I was actually on the phone talking, and it's like, yeah, we've got you one, there's one here. At that moment in time, someone actually went and bought it online in the process of me ordering it and asking questions. So when we went to buy it, it went through still because it hadn't updated the system. So basically, the first one had been sold twice as such. But obviously, the person online had got it, so they had it delivered. Blah blah blah. Then I get a phone call saying, "Really sorry, Stu, we haven't actually got one. We did, but that's what happened basically." And I'm very relaxed about the situation. I was like, "That's fine." They said it's possibly another 2 weeks, maybe or so, before you get one. I don't know what happened, and I don't know who dealt with it or whatever like that, but basically they bent over backwards and actually got me one, either borrowed it back from maybe Wex or something like that, or maybe another one had just been made. But basically, another day later, it came. And they basically said, yeah, we managed to sort you one out. I was like, wow, that's customer service and a half, and that's having a company that cares. That's the difference between having real faces and real people who love what they do and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, I haven't been paid by Rotolight. I've said I was going to make a video just so they knew that there was something coming about the customer service and everything like that. I was so blown away by it. That was the first experience I had with them direct. And yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, but I'm tiny. I'm no one. I don't have any power in making people's minds up and anything like that. You spend your money as you want to at the end of the day. There are cheaper models out there, cheaper versions of things out there, but this is my choice and my experience with the company. And every time I've spoken to them, they've been awesome. And obviously now it had gone wrong. Obviously it was sent up there and it's been fixed, this, that, and the other. But there's the fact that the communication was brilliant. They bent over backwards again to get it done quickly. It didn't cost me a load of money, really, to get it repaired. I was expecting a lot more because obviously things do cost money, But the fact is that, the parts are available in this country, they're made in this country, and they can basically repair it within a few days. So that was amazing. So thank you very much, Giles, if you ever watches this. Rod is obviously brilliant as well, the CEO. Really, really helpful. And I just thought I'd put it out there that it's important that we look after companies that we have locally in our own country. From everything from your local grocery store to your local butcher to your lighting company, even to your local camera shop. So you can buy from abroad. You can buy things cheaper abroad, but it's all about the warranty and the after sales. I find are a massive thing. I've got a rare car, and it's becoming rarer every year because obviously it's getting older and there's less of them now. Some being obviously taken off the road, written off or whatever, and it has become harder to get car parts. And I get well looked after by the company that looks after it. And that makes a huge difference. So I thought about it a lot, and I thought, I'm actually going to do a little video just saying, one, thanks Rotolight and everybody who deals with everything. But just to just promote them a little bit. We have to look after each other, and if it's anything from utilising a small company somewhere that maybe you can order some camera parts, or your tripod. Is there a tripod company in this country that makes them in Britain, or in the USA if you're in the US, and there's a company there that maybe makes them. Support them. It all adds up. Us as customers. That's one thing I really liked about Rotolight. I wasn't anybody special, but you're made to feel like you are a worthwhile customer. So it's not a case of you just phone up and speak to someone and you're just another statistic or just another person spending some money. You actually you're actually made to feel like you're actually an important person who's actually, obviously you're paying money out, but the fact is your after sales has made me appreciate the company as more than I did maybe somewhere else. So that's what I want to say, guys. I mean, I could blabber on for ages, and I probably already have. But yeah, so go and check out Rotolight at rotolight.com. They've got all of the information about the lights. Some of the lights here I don't really know much about because obviously I haven't used them. But I'm very, very happy, and thank you very much for everyone who has dealt with. I know it's probably a simple fix, but anybody who has had anything to do with this one, I'm just glad it's working again because it's such a usable piece of equipment. And I utilise it for things like this, just to give me a little bit of lighting. Obviously it's not been adjusted particularly well because I've done it from behind, but just to show you how it was working. and obviously for professional use as well when I'm out on shoots and things like that. And I've used it for so many different ways and means, everything from slow motion video. The brilliant thing about this is hardly any flicker, so basically even shooting at 1,000 frames per second there was no flicker. Where I was utilising the cheaper LED system, you get banding like you wouldn't believe, so you can't do it. You know, and if you're shooting high speed video, you need a lot of light. So that's another thing that it does really well. But yeah, anyway, go and check out Rotolight. Like I say, I'm very pleased and very thankful they managed to fix it. One, it wasn't expensive to fix, and two, just really, really good customer service and, you know, after sales stuff. So don't forget to click the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. Also, please check out my other videos in the channel. Lots of stuff about the RX10 Mark IV, which is obviously a camera that hopefully may get replaced at some point. We don't know. The A7R4, the A7R3, the A7R2 from Sony. A couple of other cameras in there as well, from the GoPros, even a couple of Canons. Where friends have owned them and we've been utilising them, comparing them and things like that. Plenty of lens videos as well, me utilising the lenses, and just general, just real world use. So I try and show you how I'm using them. I try and just portray a real world situation rather than it being too scripted or anything like that. I mean, I've written a couple of things down today, but I've only really talked about 2 things. And you know, so you know, I try and keep it as realistic as possible. I don't really edit very much, especially for the videos. I try and keep them as out of camera as much as possible. So I may have adjusted the shadows a little bit and the contrast maybe, and brought the whites down a bit. But other than that, I won't really have touched it. Even portraiture, I try and leave them as pretty much just straight out of the camera, so you can kind of see how really sharp they are, how the colours are, and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, guys, I shall see you soon, and don't forget to comment and click that like button as well if you like the video. Okay, cheers.